Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic. Horns are blaring. Tempers are flaring. Or maybe you're seconds away from a heated argument, your pulse racing. Chaos surrounds you. And yet, deep inside, you're calm, unshaken, silent, stoic. This isn't fiction. It's a skill, one that ancient warriors, emperors, and philosophers mastered over centuries. In this video, you'll discover how elite Stoics trained their minds to stay still when the world around them burned. Lesson 1. Embrace what you can control. In the chaos of life, control feels like power, but the Stoics saw through that illusion. Epictetus, once a slave who rose to become one of the greatest Stoic teachers, taught that true peace begins where the illusion of total control ends. You cannot control the stock market. You cannot control someone else's loyalty. You cannot control fate, traffic, politics, or the opinions of strangers. But you can control one thing, and it's everything. Your mind, your perception, your response. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, and it's the foundation of unshakable calm. Epictetus gives us the metaphor of the archer. You can train, you can aim, you can take the shot with perfect form, but after the arrow leaves your hand, the result is out of yours. Maybe the wind shifts, maybe the target moves, maybe you miss, but the archer who obsesses over the outcome is a prisoner of the uncontrollable. The Stoic, however, is free because his focus is on the input, not the outcome, the action, not the applause. When you stop trying to manipulate what isn't yours to own, something shifts. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop panicking. You start observing. And in that stillness, in that discipline of the mind, you discover a freedom most men never taste. That's what Epictetus meant when he said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Remember this. In chaos, the Stoic is not focused on the storm. He is focused on his sail. Lesson 2. Accept, don't resist. What if your suffering doesn't come from chaos, but from your refusal to accept it? Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the Roman Empire, didn't have the luxury of peace. He ruled during war, faced plague, buried children, was betrayed by allies, and yet he found stillness. His journal, Meditations, is filled not with complaints, but with clarity. Over and over, he reminds himself of one core idea. You cannot control what happens. You can only control how you respond. This is Stoic acceptance. And it's not passive. It's an active choice to stop fighting reality and start mastering your reaction to it. Imagine trying to stop a tidal wave with your hands. That's what most people do every day. They resist life, argue with it, cling to what was, demand what should be, and they suffer. But the Stoic knows the wave is coming, whether you like it or not. So instead of bracing in fear, he dives in. He doesn't chase comfort. He seeks alignment with nature. Marcus writes, "To love only what happens, what was destined, no greater harmony." That's not resignation. That's amor fati, the love of fate. The elite Stoic doesn't merely tolerate life's storms. He welcomes them, learns from them, moves with them. Because he understands, true calm is not found in the absence of storms, but in your refusal to be shaken by them. Lesson 3. Master the present moment. The mind is a time traveler. It rewinds to regret, fast forwards to fear, and forgets the only place where power lives, the present. Seneca warned of this trap. He said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And he was right. The traffic jam doesn't break you. Your anxious thoughts do. The rude comment doesn't shake you. Your replaying of it does. But the Stoic is trained to stay here, present, anchored, awake. This isn't just a cute idea, it's a discipline, because your attention, if left unchecked, becomes a slave to chaos. And the world wants your attention. Notifications, deadlines, regrets, projections. It wants your mind scattered, because a scattered mind is weak. But a mind that is present is a fortress. Seneca taught that peace comes from being whole in the moment, not dragged by yesterday, not seduced by tomorrow, just here. Imagine your awareness like a candle in a dark room. When it flickers, the shadows grow, fear, doubt, distraction. But when it burns steady, it lights the way. Marcus Aurelius, writing from the battlefield, whispered to himself, "Forget everything else. Keep hold of this alone, present awareness, in a world that constantly pulls you away." The elite Stoic returns to the breath, to the thought, to the action in front of him, because he knows the present moment is where strength lives, not in the past, not in the future, but in what he chooses right now. Lesson 4. Build resilience through adversity. Modern life teaches you to chase comfort, but Stoicism teaches you to chase growth, and growth lives in the fire. Epictetus, born a slave and crippled by abuse, didn't seek pity. He became a philosopher of strength, of steel. And what did he teach? That adversity is not your enemy, it's your awakening. He said, "Difficulties show what men are. Therefore, when trouble comes, think of it as training. The storm is your test." Most men fear the storm. The Stoic trains in it. Picture a blacksmith's forge, metal glowing red, shaped by hammer and flame. That's what hardship is to the Stoic. Pressure that reveals weakness, so it can be turned into strength. The betrayal that sharpens your boundaries. The delay that tests your patience. The insult that teaches you silence. You do not flinch. You do not break. You breathe. Because every setback is a sculptor's chisel, and you are the marble. Marcus Aurelius faced war, disease, and political collapse, and yet he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The Stoic transforms obstacles into stepping stones. He doesn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" He asks, "What is this shaping me into?" Pain becomes polish. Resistance becomes fuel. And over time, the world's chaos cannot touch him, because inside, he has become indestructible. Lesson 5. Choose your response always. Life doesn't ask for your permission to throw chaos at you. An insult from a stranger, a betrayal from someone you trusted, a loss you never saw coming. Most people respond on autopilot, snapping, yelling, spiraling. But the Stoic, he chooses. Epictetus called this sacred ability prohairesis, the rational faculty of choice. And in that choice lies absolute power. Imagine this. You're in traffic. A driver cuts you off. You feel it. The heat rising in your chest. The urge to lash out. But before the reaction, you pause. You breathe. And you remember, this moment does not control me. I control me. That pause, just 2 seconds long, is where you reclaim the wheel of your mind. That's Stoicism. Not suppressing your emotions, but directing them. Like a warrior draws his sword, only when it serves justice, not ego. The Stoic asks, does this reaction serve my values? Will it make me proud tomorrow? Or is it just weakness in disguise? Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. And he's right, because a man who can't control his tongue is a slave to anger. A man who can't control his desires is a prisoner to impulse. But the Stoic, the elite Stoic, is free. He doesn't react like an animal. He responds like a philosopher. And in doing so, he becomes untouchable, not because nothing affects him, but because nothing dictates him. Lesson 6. Master your desires, or be ruled by them. Picture this. A man stands at the edge of a banquet table. Food, gold, wine, women, fame, all within arm's reach, and yet, he walks away. Not because he's weak, but because he knows. The more you feed desire, the hungrier it gets. Seneca lived in the heart of Roman luxury, but he warned that unchecked desire is a form of madness, a fire that consumes without end. He said, no man is free who is a slave to his passions. Most men today don't even realize they're prisoners. Prisoners of dopamine, prisoners of likes, prisoners of the next purchase, the next woman, the next hit of validation. But the Stoic, he sees desire clearly. He studies it. And he asks, is this helping me grow? Or is this chaining me to weakness? Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the world's greatest empire, chose simplicity. In his writings, he constantly reminded himself to avoid indulgence, not because he couldn't afford it, but because he knew that peace comes from self-discipline, not self-indulgence. The world today confuses consumption with freedom. But if your mood can be broken by a missed text, a late package, a lack of praise, then you are not free. You are owned by your cravings. But when you discipline your desires, the chains break. You begin to choose what matters. You say no when others are slaves to yes. You walk away from the banquet, not in weakness, but in power. Because the Stoic doesn't need more to feel whole. He carries wholeness within. Chaos will come in your career, your relationships, your mind. But now you know what the elite Stoics knew all along. You don't control the storm. You control yourself in the storm. Your breath, your response, your focus. In a world addicted to noise, your silence will confuse them. In a world chasing more, your discipline will offend them. In a world of reaction, your calm will look like power. Because it is, the calmest man in the room is always the one in control. So ask yourself, the next time chaos hits, will I react or will I respond like a Stoic?